Hi, welcome to another Product Spotlight. I'm John, and I'm sitting here with my friend Seth.
How you doing, John?
I'm great, and we're going to look at something. This is kind of a highly anticipated model here from Class 1 Model Works. These are the Santa Fe Waycars in HO scale, and at the time of this recording, they have a price on the website for $149.99, and they have a whole bunch of different road numbers of these. I think it's like 15 of them, Seth. And so I'm going to suggest to people to go over to the Class 1 Model Works website and see if they have what you're looking for, because as you're about to see, these are really, really nice models.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, they're going to make everything else look really not quite as good. So this may be a hit on your wallet. But once you see these, they're just, in a class, no pun intended, by themselves.
So we've taken a look at the paint and markings on these models, which are both really exceptional. All of the grabs everywhere on this model, up here, on the sides, it's all separately applied, really finely rendered thin wire grabs. And something else that I thought was really cool are these parts of the windows. I'm not sure what the deal is there, but it's not like a regular window. It almost looks like something
looks like a screen,
right? Something that's been a screen added to it or something. And if you look at it closely, I can't tell for sure, Seth, just looking, but it almost seems like photo etched pieces in there.
I'm pretty sure it is. He has a listing of photo etch, and it just goes on forever. I mean, it's comparable to the, finest military models you'll see, that have sheets and sheets of photo etch, and they've just built this and it's all assembled for you. You don't need to fiddle with it. They've just done a gorgeous job.
Something else I think that is worth mentioning, since we can see it from this angle, is the detail in the smoke jack. It has these little extra parts here. Are those guy wires?
Yeah, exactly. And they're really well rendered. So, what you normally see on these, and you've seen lots of cabooses, is either just the smoke jack or a smoke jack and some, rather thick detail, which it's sort of, you give them points for putting the detail there, but it's frankly not as fine as the rest of the model. And I'm not sure the overall effect is really worth the considerable effort, where this is just perfect.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at one of the ends, and normally I go to the brake end first. Well, on a Caboose, or a Waycar, sorry, Santa Fe fans, the brake end really is both ends because you have brake wheels in both places. But, I mean, look at all the separately applied stuff. What are we looking at here, Seth?
Just amazing stuff. Etched end platforms and step grading. So right. That's all etched metal. Separately applied wire railings and grabs. So, and look at the caboose, the curved caboose grabs right behind there.
Yeah.
This is just beautifully done. He calls out the paint, and it is just beautifully applied. And he's even got operating step lights on the CE3 version that we're looking at here.
Yeah, we'll look at the lights in a minute. But something else I would mention is it has everything. You have your separately applied brake wheel and, all that associated detail, but there's an uncoupling lever here, and there's also air hose detail on the other side, which we'll look at in a second. And something I'm finding really cool, Seth, is look at the ladder. Not only is it really fine wire, but look how the rungs are a different color, right? From the sides.
Painted, and the paint is just applied perfectly.
How cool is that?
Just beautifully done. So you can see they've put an awful lot in this car, and that it speaks to the price, of course, but you're definitely getting value for it.
I wanted to show this angle just briefly to demonstrate that there is, in fact, air hose detail here. Mm-hmm. Here's a look at the other side. And while we're looking at this, Seth, I want to mention something I think is really cool, which is there's underbody detail that's visible from the side when it's rolling down the track, for example. And it's different, right, on this side compared to what we saw on the other side.
Right. On this one, for example, the AB brake valve is prominent.
Is that this guy right here?
That guy right there. Uh-huh. And Anyway, so that was actually one of the innovations in this class, the original World War II era version of this car, and these are rebuilds, had that as opposed to the older K-brake. So that was something Santa Fe did. What else has he got for us here? The tool sellers were modified, removed, or partially removed, and those are correct per the road number. So there were several versions of these. So if you have a fleet of them, they can all be a little bit different, if you like, reflecting changes made over time. On the sides, there are cot stencils.
Is that the stuff here?
That right there, and ACI labels in later years. All of that is, again, era and road number specific, which is just amazing, the amount of research that he's done. The antenna with the ground plane on top of the cupola.
Sure.
So that's a little bit more modern. The older ones, particularly in the 500 class, may have wigwags as appropriate. Of course, that was visual signaling and was removed when they installed radios. So again, spans a wide range of era from World War II, really up to the end of cabooses. So this is a really versatile car in that respect.
You keep referring to he has this and he has that and he's concluded the other, but we didn't say who he is.
Oh,
we should mention who he is.
He is Stephen Priest, one of the principals of Class 1. And in case you're wondering if the guy who designed these cars knew what he was talking about, here's the book.
So the detail on this end of the caboose is consistent with what we saw on the other end. Everywhere you look on this model, it has either photo etched stuff or separately applied wire stuff, or it's just everything you could want on it, I think, is there.
Well, I think Mike and Steven and the whole team are extraordinarily good modelers themselves, and they're also good engineers. They have a good idea of what material to use for what renders well, what's going to actually hold on to the car when you assemble it and try to ship it and then unpack it and put it on your layout. So there's very intelligent use of the right material for the right job, and they just done a superb job on it, and they're obviously far better at it than me, but you can recognize very nice work when you see it.
And here's one final 3/4 angle, shot before we take a look at the roof and underbody details. Something I'll point out, though, since it's pretty obvious in this picture, which is the road number stenciled on the side of the cupola there. It's on the other side as well, but it wasn't showing up as well when we were looking at the other end.
Yeah, and Santa Fe had a couple of different color schemes for that over the years. And again, they're appropriate per road number and era. Did we get the battery boxes when we talked about this earlier? Because it's really visible in this shot.
Oh, yeah. Here, why don't I hand this to you, and you can point out the battery box.
There we go. There's the battery box.
Yep.
And you can see this is a separate photo etched part, and the louvers are rendered just wonderfully. Also has the reflective stripes, the forerunner of today's conspicuity stripe in the rectangular circle cross as appropriate for the unit and era.
So I mentioned that the top has a lot of really ridiculous detail. Every piece of walkway and grab and everything you see here, all of it is separately applied parts. In the case of the grabs, it's wire. In the case of the walkways, those are all photo etched. I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't know that you could do anything to these models to improve them. I mean, maybe weather it. I don't know. I mean,
it'd feel like a sacrilege to weather them, but obviously these things spent a lot of time out in the desert and they did weather.
Yeah, but I'm tipping it up so that you can see that is in fact photo etched. It looks really good.
Yeah, exactly. Just your favorite wash and grime techniques, just beautifully done.
Looking at the antenna also, Seth, it's not just a separately applied antenna, but there's also this little conduit or something, or wire that goes into the caboose, and that's just really cool.
Let's see, we talked about the blanked out plates for the wigwags, so yeah, all sorts of things. You can really see the history of this car looking at the model.
Okay, so let's take a look at the underbody detail before we do the old switcheroo to the brown one. this has everything.
Oh, yeah. If you didn't know that somebody like Class 1 was coming out with this car, you would assume it was a contest model. And just the completeness and quality of the detailing is spectacular.
Seth, I think this is the second time you've been involved with a switcheroo. And once again, all that detail's there. So that's what we're looking at with this model.
Yeah, these are the 2100 series, which were produced almost immediately after the 500s, which were the basis for the red CE3 we just looked at. So they're very, very similar in size and shape. There were some subtle differences in the underframes, and Class 1 didn't catch that in the first release, but they will in a subsequent release. So if you're really looking for the proper Duryea underframe, just hold on for the next release and I'll have it. This one is very, very similar visually, and certainly if you're an operator and just want a really nice looking car, you would never ever see it in operation. That's the one difference.
Here's a quick look at the top of this model. It's all that same stuff we were pointing out before.
We have the unpainted roof walk on this one, and you can see it really pops. The paint is gorgeous on the CE3, but, it's red against red. This one just, wow, in your face. Beautifully done. What else? The reflectors here are the simplified circle cross. So very Santa Fe, of course, 1, 2, 3, 4 per side. It's just wonderfully done.
There are some very minor, prototypically accurate stuff, to the road number or to the model that may not appear on the red model, but generally it's the same kind of stuff, right? We're looking at the photo etched and also the separately applied everything. I will tilt this up so you can see that the stairs and walkway there are also photo etched, separately applied detail parts. It looks really amazing.
We were talking about the reflective markers on the side that, again, are like the, conspicuity stripes. And on these cars, we have the 4 simplified circle cross heralds rendered in yellow. Don't know if they're really retroreflective, but they look awfully good. Same double hung windows with screens, just same level of detail and working markers.
From this angle, you get a really good look at the markers on this one.
Yeah, the lighting effects, which we'll cover later, are also very, very good.
You can point it out, Seth. There's something here that's not on the other side.
Right. So the battery box with louvers and ventilators and all this is, again, rendered in photo etch, just beautifully done. And again, the tool chests were modified and sometimes removed, sometimes size changed over time. And those are, again, correct per era and prototype. One thing we were just discussing as we were placing these is you can see that over time the window placement and number of windows was changed. For example, in the earlier 2200 series, there were 5 windows, but when they rebuilt the 500s into CE3s, they blanked out some of the windows, and you can see very clearly where they were blanked. And again, you have the double hung windows with a photo etch on the remaining windows. So there's, a tremendous amount of car and era-specific information that's incorporated into these models.
Now, here's something I'm not accustomed to when I'm looking at a caboose. Let's take a look at the lights, right? Usually it's a locomotive thing. And the model, as I mentioned before, is packaged with a magnetic wand, which Seth is modeling very professionally. And this particular model turns on right in this area. You'll see when you look at the documentation that the models come with where the lights turn on and off, and you can see that the lights look really good. And if we cut the power to the lights, which we can do off camera here, it's just a 9-volt battery, but look, they stay on. And if you don't believe we cut the power, I'll even just tip it off the track and you'll see that the lights stay on. That's because they've included a capacitor circuit with it. And how cool is that?
Yeah, this is great. I mean, because, if you have dirty track or a gap or something like that, the lights stay on and don't flicker annoyingly. So just another really nice professional touch.
If you turn it off with the wand, it goes off.
That's right.
So we're going to take a look at the lights on the red Caboose, Waycar.
CE3.
CE3, Waycar.
Yes.
And as you can see, everything's fully illuminated right now. And the trick here is that there are 3 little areas on top of the car that you can activate or deactivate with the magnet. And this one back here will turn the, what is that, a stoplight?
It's basically a marker. For a modern car. So instead of having the little ad lakes out here at the corners, like we saw on the 2200, it's got a single red light in the middle. Those of you who are SP, would be expecting the frog's eye, but it serves the same function.
Right. And then the other light that's activated on this model is to illuminate the rear of it. And you can see it's already turned on because these little grab irons are illuminated, and that can be turned on or off by waving the wand near the smoke jack there. And the model comes with all the documentation to show this stuff. So now looking at the other side, you can see that the red marker comes on by activating just behind the cupola here, and then I'll turn on those other, what do you call those? They illuminate the steps, I guess. So they're step lights.
They're called step lights. And the idea is that you can see where you're going on the platform and the steps.
It's always a good idea.
Yeah.
But the point to all this is that the marker light, the rear marker light, can be turned on whichever end it needs to be on, right? Because you don't want to have the red light on the front of the Caboose. So it has a different activating area here on the back. And when you do this, it's only turning this light on. It's not turning the one on the other side. And as you can see, this one also is equipped with a capacitor circuit, so it will handle dirty track and there won't be any flickering. The red one weighs 4.7 ounces. And the brown one weighs 4.8. The NRA's recommended weight for a car of this length is about 3.5 ounces. I think Class 1 has included everything you could possibly want in a model like this, from, the photo etched details to the hose detail to the uncoupling lever detail to the sunshades on the cupola, and you just make the list because it's a long list. And the other thing that's really cool is they have different models, right? Different prototypes represented in this release. What is it, like 3 different things?
Right. It's 3 different styles. So if you go back to Stephen Priest's Santa Fe Waycar book, and we'll plug that again. I think it's out of print, but you can probably find it at a good bookstore or perhaps on eBay. The earliest of these were built for World War II, and I think that was the 500 series. Those were later built into the CE3s, which is the one that we've been showing you in the red and yellow. And then really as the 500s were winding up, they built the 2100, 2200 class, which was the brown one we showed you. And there's subtle differences, but they're all, very, very similar. So, these are just fantastic. They're accurate. They're just feature rich. And the only consideration really is it just would be expensive to build up a complete fleet of these.
Yeah. And I have to be honest, when I first saw the price of these things at $149.99, I thought, oh man, is a Caboose really going to be worth that much? But having seen all of the detail and features that they've packed into it, even the lighting features and the capacitor, sometimes you get lights with no capacitor and it's like, well, it's nice, but they flicker or but there's always these little things. I think they've thought of everything. So good job, Class 1.
Yes.
Hope to see more soon.
Yeah.
We're doing that thing where you're 8 feet tall again.
Oh, well, here, take the,
Do you have a box I can sit on? Oh, that'll work. Pillow. It actually, oh, right. Yeah. Could have been funny if it was one of those. Okay. This is good.